Welcome to My Hometown, the program that explores clubs, organizations, businesses, and issues across Nassau and Suffolk counties and sheds light on the different towns that are making a difference.
Hello and welcome to My Hometown. I'm Bill Horan, along with my co-host, recent Nassau Community College graduate Corey Kaufman, coming to you live, once again via Zoom, and being socially distant as recommended.
Today, we're going to learn how to cook. I'm hungry already, Bill.
Well, I hope we learn fast because I'd like to introduce Polly Talbot, the owner of A La Carte Culinary Services of Lynbrook here in Nassau County. Polly, welcome to My Hometown on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
Thank you so much. It's nice to be here.
Polly, first of all, let me ask you, in these difficult times, how are you surviving the COVID-19 pandemic personally?
Personally, I'm fine. Personally, I really have to be grateful because I am fine. My family's fine. I have 2 grandchildren and, my son and my daughter-in-law, everybody's healthy. So, that's knock on wood, of course, but everybody's fine. Thank you.
Because that's the major thing today. If we're not getting through that, we're almost at the end of the line. But
the rest doesn't matter, right?
The rest, no. I mean, and even if it's a mild case, we hope, of course, everybody gets through it easily, and then we can get into the real essence of our show. Corey?
Right.
So what are we cooking today? I'm just kidding.
Well, today's the paperwork day, so I got a lot of ins and outs going on today.
Yeah.
But we are doing classes. Tomorrow we start our first after-school class. We had a lot of summer camps. For some reason, the kids were coming out. We had, socially distanced, masked classes, 8 kids in a class instead of my normal 16. But the kids had a great time, and I know they were all just grateful to be back together again, with that long time. I even see my grandson's 7, and I see he just really missed his friends. He's so happy now to be back in school. But our kids' classes did really well. And now I'm starting the after school program, which, like I said, starts tomorrow, and it's going to go, I'm doing 5 weeks in a row. So it's just a 2-hour class, and come in, cook and eat and learn some great stuff and be together. So it's nice. But the kids are great with the masks. They all wear their masks. Nobody gives me a hard time. They're just wonderful.
I'm really glad to hear that. Let's learn more about your certainly unique business. What is A La Carte Culinary Services, and how did it come to be?
Well, A La Carte is culinary services. Part of it came it was the culmination of my whole career. I studied foods and nutrition in college. I was a food stylist for many years. I worked in test kitchens right when I first came out of college. So I had a lot of different experiences, but A La Carte started out to put everything together, and I wanted a cooking school. So I wanted a cooking school. It's 21 years old now. I wanted a cooking school for years and years, and finally one day I just signed a lease and opened a cooking school. But it's become primarily a cooking school because all the other things I did kind of had to go by the wayside because the cooking school was so successful and took a lot of time. So I have had it now all this time, and it's really hands-on, recreational. People sign up, they come in. Sometimes we have a series of classes, but typically it's just a single class. You come in and you cook, and the chefs, I have professional chefs I teach, and some of my chefs they're all amazing. They'll teach you how to do whatever you need, and then as you're going along the way, they give you tips and tricks and how to hold your knife and all that kind of stuff. And then at the end, everybody sits down and enjoys the dinner together with a glass of wine. So it's a very social experience as well as educational. As you can see, from the sound of it, everybody's, with strange new people. And COVID really put a little damper on that. So, abruptly in the middle of March, everything canceled.
Polly, let me ask you, first of all, did I hear you say you were at one point a food stylist?
Yes.
I thought I misheard that. So you have to explain that. What is a food stylist?
A food stylist. I did it for many, many years. And even part of the time while I had A La Carte, I did it. It's, if you see a picture of food, somebody had to make the food, right? You look at a book, a magazine, a billboard, on a television commercial. It was the ultimate playing with your food. It was so much fun. It was hard work because you're on your feet all day. And you're thinking on your feet all day. And for some reason, people think you don't have to think when you're cooking. So that's a little difficult. But it was just really the most fun career you could ever have. I just took all the food knowledge I had, put it together, and made beautiful pictures of food. And it was very specialized. I just did the food. Somebody else brought the plates. There was a photographer, of course, and typically I had an assistant. So it was really the ultimate playing with your food. My mother used to say, don't play with your food when I was a kid.
So that's a recognized career, food stylist?
Oh, yeah. I started doing it, my gosh, years ago. I started in 1977. I'm dating myself, but it was just a perfect time for it. I think there had been enough disasters in the advertising world where the food just didn't look good, and no amount of lighting can make ugly food look good, unless you turn the light off, right? So art directors and photographers were aware of the need for it. And I started out Family Circle magazine, and I got a portfolio together, and then I just, my career just like blossomed right away. It was totally a lot of fun. It was just like you meet new people all the time, and every day is different. That's what I loved about it. Every day was different.
Now, what made you? I mean, if I was just talking to you and said, "What's your career?" I wouldn't say chef, because when I think chef, I picture an overweight French person, and he has an accent, and he's very good at what he does. What made you want to be a chef?
Well, people call me a chef. I personally don't label myself as a chef, although, chef basically is head of the kitchen, right? Okay. So, you would probably call me a chef. I think my chefs are much better than I am, although, people like to have me teaching,
You're the executive chef.
Yeah. I think what made A La Carte so successful was having those professional chefs and then combining my career, because when I studied in college, I studied more consumerism. I didn't study like massive quantity cooking for, 1,000 people. I studied consumerism. And when I worked for Borden in their test kitchens, I was writing recipes for consumers, like everyday people at home. So I understood their challenges. And I understood the level that they're cooking with, whether they're advanced or whatever. I was able to talk to them. And so I feel like with my professional chefs, I brought the knowledge of this is how we talk to a consumer. This is the lady or the man at home trying to get dinner on the table. And I think that's where a lot of cooking schools would go awry, was where they're not talking to the people that they're teaching. Because, my students really do love the little chef tricks, but they're still making dinner for, anywhere from 1 to 5 or 6 people, small quantities, in a rush, day to day, so it's a different language, than being in a restaurant.
Very different. Yes, Corey?
Where exactly is your business located, and why did you choose that location?
I looked, as I was a food stylist, and I've obviously food styling is more lucrative than owning a cooking school, but I was looking for years. I looked in Rockville Center, I'm in Lynbrook now, but I looked in Valley Stream, I looked in a lot of different areas all around here. And then I found this place in Lynbrook, and it was right in the heart of the village. It's between Sunrise and Merrick, 32 Atlantic Avenue in Lynbrook. And it just felt right, it just felt right. And the mayor at that time was so supportive. And, there were people in the community that were supportive. And what happened to me was I had been looking for so long. I just woke up one morning and said, Polly, either do it or stop talking about it. So I just woke up, I called the landlord and I said, I want to sign a lease. So I started that, and that was in 1999. And I signed the lease. It took almost 6 months to get the place set, because I had, in my mind exactly how I wanted it. I traveled to cooking schools all over the world, basically, and took classes to see what was the challenge when you were in a cooking class. And so I have some open cupboards because I was always confused. I couldn't find anything. I didn't know where anything was. So I have a lot of open cupboards. We do set up every class. So most of people's mise en place, the things that they're going to be using to cook are right in front of them when they start. But I designed it so that it would be home-like, yet still have the ability to have, we can do up to 30 people at a time. So we do have like 6 ovens, which people don't have at home, but everything is consumer type equipment. So everything is easy to use and all that kind of stuff. So I love the location. Lynbrook is a nice community. It's kind of low key. It's not one way or the other. It's kind of middle class and very kind people and nice people. The community has been very supportive.
Polly, let me ask you a question. Who is your target audience? You talked about children, I think, before, but I'm guessing that you probably get more adults than children. Would I be correct?
It's really funny. My target was always adults, and it was almost, they say in business is sometimes just open your eyes and whatever you need is right in front of you. I was aiming to adults, just thinking that's who I was aiming to. That was what I wanted. But all of a sudden, kids' classes became like the thing, like there were more and more. And then, so I just went with it. I just started to have more kids' classes. We have a couple of them camps in the summer. We had actually 4 or 5 camps this summer. And so it's really been successful. So you just have to go with it. Another thing that really happened that was huge, and actually I'll tell you what I'm doing with it, because we had these programs for high school language classes, and they were a 2-hour field trip for either French, Italian, or Spanish. And what we did was we did 5 classic recipes of that cuisine, and they would bring 30 kids. We'd divide up. We'd have 5 groups, and we'd talk to them about the culture and the cuisine a little bit. They'd break up into groups, and we had chefs. So I had 2 chefs every time, and we'd go around and we'd coach them along the way. But the kids would actually cook. So it was awesome, just awesome program. And it started in about 2000 it started. So it's been about 20 years we've been doing it. It blossomed into like the most popular field trip on Long Island. The kids would come in the bus, unload, cook, eat, and go back. So we'd always talk to them, it was educational. They would learn the foods of that cuisine. And also they'd learn to cook, which was fun. And they behaved really 90% of the time, 95% of the time, they were amazing. You always get one, but most of the time they were just fabulous. And it really did become one of the most popular field trips on Long Island. And it went on. I mean, when COVID happened, I had 13 field trips that were scheduled that had to be canceled. So it was an amazing program.
I want to go to your school. I learned Latin and algebra. That's no fun. If I could learn Italian cooking or German, wow, that's a class that I would not miss. I wouldn't cut that today. I would be there. I'd definitely be for your class. Corey, how about you?
You are listening to My Hometown on the Voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. My name is Corey Kaufman, along with Bill Horan. And today we're talking with Polly Talbot, the owner of A La Carte Culinary Services of Lynbrook, here in Nassau County. What do you feel is your primary obstacle in achieving success in this new era of COVID and hopefully post-COVID?
Well, obviously getting the number of people in the place has been a challenge. What I did, I started back just because I'm kind of a doer rather than a sit by. Although I do have to say I went through quite an emotional roller coaster during this whole time. But I decided to open an outdoor cafe, which has now ended because it's starting to get cold. But I did a dessert cafe outside. But what I really did, and I do feel is a challenge now because I've got little details that it's just not my comfort zone right now. But I recorded all 3 of our language classes. So I'm marketing them to the school so that they can use them in their virtual programs. So I demonstrated each of the recipes for each package. It would be of language classes. My challenge now is technology. And I just think, I think that young people right now really need to embrace us more seasoned people, because we need the technology to keep our businesses thriving. And I'll tell you, it's not my comfort zone. Every time I have to try a new technology, I freeze up. And I need somebody to calm me down and say, listen, I'll handle that. So, some of the younger people that I work with are helping me, but I really think that students today, as they're getting out of college or even while they're in college, there's a golden opportunity to go out and embrace some of these businesses. And I know how to do everything that I can teach. I know how to do that. I just don't know how to do the technology part of it. So that's a challenge. That's my big challenge, is technology. And I embrace it. I probably know a lot more than most people my age, but it doesn't feel that way sometimes, because everything's new. Everything always changes.
Polly, I'm just thinking, I'm going to interrupt Corey and say, have you considered bartering? If you got a techie who's hungry, they come over, you have all these meals, you then prepare, let's say, a German meal, and once you're finished and the techie has put it on the internet, etc., then you say, here you are, the Wiener Schnitzel is yours, or the lasagna, or whatever you've prepared. I think bartering is perfect for your business, and if I knew technology, I would be over there in about 20 minutes. You and I would set something up and we would be going. So if you can get that techie who's ready to go.
I need that. So tell them to find me.
I'm going to look for a chubby techie and I'm sending him right over to you and say, that's where you can get a good meal.
Because, the Zoom cooking classes are great. Like the Zoom conversations are pretty good, because I'm, feel very comfortable talking to you right now because I see you, So I think that the challenge with a Zoom cooking class is only that I need two cameras. I need one on the food itself and one on me, so I can be talking. So I need the two angles. And while I'm working and talking, I can't be worried about moving the camera around and saying, zero in on this one, zero in on that one. I can't do all those things at once.
Honestly, I bet that's a very simple thing, though, for someone in the business, because if you watch any of these recipes or infomercials, they always have the one over the stove showing you the food bubbling up and getting ready.
Yes.
And, of course, the different stages. And someone who's done that once before would probably tell you the 3 steps, the 3 camera angles. And today it's probably like a granny cam. You'd put one on the right side of the kitchen, one on the left, one over the stove, and you'd be going international.
Right. And I think I need somebody to watch and, put it, when you put it the big screen, right? On the big screens, I need somebody to play with that, and they can have the food. Yeah.
And you pay them by feeding them. I think that's a wonderful arrangement. So,
what else is funny is YouTube. Like, YouTube is great, except I don't know how to work it, because every time I go on there, I'm like, I think I posted stuff and then I don't find it. And then then eventually I find it. So I must have posted it, so I don't know what I did. And I think people that really specialize in YouTube also could help people, because I know there's a way to monetize it and there's all these different things, but shoot, I'm just putting them up if I can get them up there at all, and they're going out for free. So
I'm sure there's a deal you could be working. Now, let me ask you, as a business in Nassau County, what is it, in light of the pandemic, what is it you need to survive?
What do I need to survive?
Due to the pandemic, in other words, are there things that you would like that either from the government or to tell people about how we as the community could help you and other businesses?
That's a good question. I think some of the things are just really, really confusing that they offer. I have been in touch with some of the different offices. Let me try to think what would really help us. Money is obviously helpful. I think, I had a problem now with my insurance company. Like, my insurance is going to cancel. So now I'm like, I don't know what to do about that. Those kinds of things would really, really be helpful.
I'm hearing something like tech support and small business administration. Is that about it?
tech support for sure. But I think if they could help us with things like rent and help our landlords. I mean, I understand my landlord needs money. He's got a business too. But I don't really, have it. And the insurance, what my insurance company did, and I suppose all the insurances are doing the same things. They didn't cancel my insurance. They just accumulated it. So now that I'm trying to get back into business a little bit and barely making it because my class sizes are small and not so full, they want me to pay the insurance plus a portion of what I already owe them. So now it's like my insurance is like a time and a half again what it was because they want me to start paying the past.
People are just coming back, and it's almost impossible to do that.
Yeah, and a small business in any case usually operates from day to day, or week to week or month to month, not much more than that, So when you start to say, okay, now your insurance, say it was $600 a month, now it's going to be $900 a month. Say, now say your rent was this much, we're going to have to add more to make up for the less. You can't do that, you can't start back small. Like that.
Well, maybe if some of our politicians are listening and techies, they'll be either contacting you or helping out. Corey?
Were you able to get a PPP loan or anything like that?
I did, but I got such a little amount that I already owed it. So I used it up like as soon as I got it. I got really like nothing. And then they wanted to give me a loan, but I've been in business 20 years. I don't want to start with a loan. You know what I mean? What I could not understand what the point for me at this point of my life would be to take a big loan that I would now owe, just to keep my business going that maybe or maybe won't go on. Do you know what I mean? Right.
I totally hear you.
So now what I did was I actually rented out the back of as a ghost kitchen. I have a catering area in the back. So I rented that out as a ghost kitchen. But that's going to cover a little bit of my expenses, but not everything. So I would like to rent out, a couple of days as a ghost kitchen. Do you know what a ghost kitchen is?
No, I'm not familiar with that term.
It's new, basically, really. A kind of a new term, but it's a kitchen where they end up cooking there. And it's not like a location where people come in and eat. It's all done through, the Uber Eats and the Grubhub and the Seamless. So they cook the food or prepare the food, and then it's all ordered through this technical stuff, this technical magic. And the guy comes to the back door, picks it up, and delivers it. So it's all done by technology. And then the ghost kitchen is just like where they actually make it. So,
okay.
So, and that's supposedly one of the main things in restaurants that's growing right now. So one of the big ways it's growing.
Polly, do you do private cooking events? In other words, either by people coming to you as a private group or going to a house and showing them how to cook a certain dish?
We do a lot of private events. We did a lot of corporate team building classes and private parties like anniversaries, birthdays, just get-togethers, anything like end-of-year parties. We did a lot of private parties. Absolutely. Yeah.
What's the number one food that everybody wants to know how to cook? Or is there a certain ethnic food or area of food world?
Our most popular class, I would say, is Italian Christmas Eve. And it's a Christmas Eve dinner that I used to make years ago. And we started doing it, right when I first opened in like 2000. But it was the 7 fish dinner, and that's always a sellout. We put one on. I have one on December 4th. And it's already filling because it's a really popular class and it's a fun way to be together. It's fish. It's great.
That's certainly true. And I'm just thinking now I go in the stores and all I see is things for Halloween and for, for the fall, anything right. Fall or orange. So if seasonally, like one a month, whatever that month represents, whether it's a peach festival or the bread month or the corn on the cob month, I'm sure you could work a deal through there. And it seems like a great idea because people like that stuff.
People do. Yeah. Yeah. Knife skills is a good class because it's a really good one for people to get set, like when you learn how to chop and slice and dice in an easier way, cooking becomes much more fun. Yeah.
Corey?
Sure. What is your favorite thing in the whole world to cook?
Oh, wow. That's a really good question. Yeah, that's funny because it goes back and forth because I really like to eat healthy. Like I'm really kind of dedicated to that, but I do love baking. Yeah, I have a couple of desserts that I really enjoy making a lot. So I would say I like baking, but there's something when you like food and you're into that world, I can be in the kitchen making an omelet and it makes me happy. It's just the smells, the taste, the textures, and everything involved with food like soothes me. So
Right.
I can cook almost anything and be happy doing it. But I guess over the years I gravitated a little more towards baking because once you bake a lot, you start to understand what you can change and what you can't because baking is a chemical thing. The balance of the ingredients has to be just so. But once you understand that concept, you can change things up a little bit. So I find that fun and challenging. And I like recipe development. And, my cookbook is waiting there to be written. But I do like developing recipes.
Polly, I'm just thinking, you hear someone say occasionally in an old movie that, to the wife, you're not making dinner the way my mother made it or something like that. Do you get the wife coming in, or maybe the husband in this case coming in and saying, look, my spouse wants me to cook like her mother, my mother. How do I make lasagna? How do I make Wiener Schnitzel or something like that?
Yes. We've had people, there was one couple that came in just to learn how to make the escarole.
Okay.
Basically escarole with garlic and oil. And it was really cute because they come in often and they came back and they said, we make that all the time now. And then one time somebody came in to my homemade mozzarella class. And that's always so much fun. I
have a new marketing for you. Get in touch with divorce attorneys. Tell them how you can save the marriage. And I bet you do it at least 10 or 15% of the time. Polly, it's been a lot of fun having you today. Thanks so much for being here. We'd like our audience to know we've been talking to Polly Talbot. She's the owner of A La Carte Culinary Services of Lynbrook, right in Nassau County. Polly, good luck to you and your business, and keep it up. Keep coming up with those new recipes.
All right. Thank you so much, Bill and Corey.
I'm Bill Horan with Corey Kaufman. We thank you for listening to this week's special edition of My Hometown.
We like to get your feedback on My Hometown. Send your comments to WHPC at ncc.edu. Nassau Community College, where success starts and continues. Till next time, this is Bill St. James. And remember, there's no town like your hometown.